Folks, welcome back to So Bad It's Good. Listen, today has been a pretty good day, and I knew I was ending my day with somebody that I've wanted to talk to for a long time. I have talked about my addiction to TikTok. Now, I don't really post as much. I'm trying to be better at posting on there, but it takes a true artist, and we have an artist with us today, and I don't follow a lot of Bravo accounts on TikTok, or I don't even get pushed that. But for some reason, he came up on my TikTok feed a while back, and I really love him. I love his way of working. It always piques my curiosity into something that I might not know about, or a shared appreciation or love for a certain pocket of pop culture. And that's what we're looking for. And he does it really in, I think, this amazingly positive way, which I love as well. So you might know him as at Holden Smith 962 on TikTok, but he also has a YouTube and Instagram, and he is here himself today, the one and only Holden Smith. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to do this.
I got to say, I'm geeking out because I listen to your voice so much, and the way that you speak. I mean, you kind of get addicted to voices and stuff, and yours is a voice that I hear every day, which I guess the first question before we get into all of the pop culture and the Bravo is how does one even start this?
Honestly, I really started posting in 2020. I feel like that's how every story really starts with stuff like this.
It's always the pandemic. It's always the pandemic.
I've always loved pop culture. I've always watched the OG YouTubers. I've always watched reality TV. My first foray into Bravo was Below Deck because my parents watched when I was a lot younger, so I would sit and watch with them. And so I just started to post one day on TikTok just while I was in lockdown. It was just taking tweets of YouTubers, reality stars, celebrities, and just kind of putting them behind me with just a little bit of captioning on the screen, just saying, this is what's happening. And then over the years, it kind of evolved to me wanting to actually give my 2 cents on a situation and kind of explain it, because with all of this stuff, there's a lot more nuance than just what's online or an announcement of a song, a movie, a show, because there's always something that's going on behind the scenes, or there's previous work that needs to be referenced or explained to get what's happening currently. So that's when I started to actually speak and provide more context for a lot of the things that I was talking about. And I think I started doing that 2-ish years ago. And since then, I don't know, I just love it. I've always been into pop culture myself. So to share that with the world and also be able to kind of create discourse about certain things I've really loved.
Has it changed your view or perception of pop culture? Because, I grew up loving pop culture, being obsessed with it. And this is pre-internet for me, and watching kind of where it is. But also when you start to learn the inner workings of it, it's not all sunshine and roses. You kind of sometimes see a darker side of things. Or right now, I mean, we're going through the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and Taylor Swift is being pulled into it. And it's really dark, heady stuff. And it's sometimes hard because I feel like the internet pushes almost a negative discourse, or the discourse is so charged in a negative light. And that's why I always appreciate your content, because you'll give opinions, but you won't be like, this person deserves to die.
That really is my biggest pet peeve with the internet. I think we all have access to so much now that it does a disservice when people come on and just start to attack every single party involved. Because again, there's so much nuance to every situation. And especially with the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni thing, I don't want to get into it too much, but we're never going to know what happened. I think that there's stuff on both sides that it's never going to come to light.
Well, it's compelling on both sides.
Yeah.
And more information, but it is interesting. I see the internet or TikTok, not as much on Instagram, but TikTok especially, really driving a narrative. Or if Blake Lively wears a Spice Girls watch, it's this hidden message to Taylor. And I'm just oh my God, the Easter egg. We know Taylor Swift loves an Easter egg, but my God, can sometimes, I love a conspiracy theory. I don't love to push them, but yeah, I get entertained. But sometimes things have to just be things. They can't just all be Easter eggs or a hidden message. Let's get to some Bravo first, though, because you actually, I believe, just posted today. We had the Summer House reunion looks.
Yes.
Because we're going to have the reunion for Summer House, not this week, which is the finale, but the week after. What is your relationship with Summer House this season?
I love Summer House, and I feel like there are a lot of people who are anti these days.
Yes.
And I don't know why.
I know.
Like,
Well, totally. I was saying this. I don't get. This is my show that like my comfort show, and I
yeah.
know that it is not the high drama of Scandival, but yeah, I'll deal with the Lexi Jesse storyline. I
Yes.
just enjoy it. But you feel the same way.
Yeah, and first of all, I just need to say, Paige DeSorbo, you will always be famous. I love Paige so much. Like her, I love the
Have you
girls. Like
liked her from the beginning? Because I didn't love Paige in the beginning, and I have grown to love her as of this season.
I, I always liked her. I think the last two seasons, plus seeing her on Southern Charm, like being able to watch her on two separate shows in two different environments, like helped me as a viewer get to understand her better. And I think the last two seasons of Summer House and Southern Charm prior to the breakup helped me understand and like her and appreciate her as a reality TV star a lot more.
Where do you stand with Craig? Like, were you a big Craig Conover guy, or
I
were
love
you always
Craig.
out? You
I I need to
this
hold
has to
space for
really
two
hurt you,
truths.
right?
It was really because I watched Summer House before I watched or Southern Charm before I watched Summer House. So I started watching Southern Charm like years ago with my parents, starting from season one.
By the way, I got to point out, I love your parents. Like, they're making you watch
They
Below Deck as a kid, and like
yeah,
I had to force my parents to watch Bravo.
they for some reason like they don't watch Housewives. They only watch like a Below
Not
Deck.
in this house.
Yeah. Which I had to seek that out on my own, which is like a whole separate journey. And I love the Housewives.
It's when you're a parent, I would imagine it's tough to send your kids
Yeah.
off to discover other Bravo shows.
But yeah, like we all watched Southern Charm together, and I've always loved Craig since day one. Like there was always something that really like endeared me to him. I just have always had a soft spot, and I actually met him at the Philadelphia airport a couple months ago, like after the breakup. And
What'd you say?
I didn't like know how to even like approach it because it was right when it was airing on Southern Charm. Like the episode that he like where they picked cameras back up and that like him, Shep, and Austin talked. I met
Yeah.
him, I think, like that same week, a couple days later, and I was just like, I've watched Southern Charm for a really long time. I've always like really appreciated you on TV. And he was really, really sweet. Like he was nothing but nice. And it really, I assume, was a tough time for him just in general having to watch that back.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like them both separately. I didn't like how the breakup got a little messy, especially like, I think in the beginning they really tried to stay civil and keep it out of the public eye. And then comment after comment, it started becoming this tit for tat situation. And that's when I said, I need to
I
take
blame
a
the
step
internet
back.
for that. That's
I know.
another where I feel like internet fueled that fire. Whereas
Yeah.
it with Scandival, we had so many like actual facts coming forward, and I
Yeah.
think in some ways we ran with that, and we really made it a thing where I think we upset Paige and Craig, and then they just
Honestly,
became more
I
upset
believe
at
that.
each
Yeah.
other.
Because they're like seeing all that stuff, especially like Paige is so online. She's looking through the comments, she's seeing all of the
We
posts.
see her
And I
on
think,
Summer House laying in
yeah.
bed watching TikTok every episode.
And I feel like it got to a point where she was like, I'm just going to take the gloves off for a minute and I'll watch what happens live, like gave a few digs. But I don't know. I think it really was definitely fueled by social media because I really think people are chasing the feeling that they got during Scandival, and we're never going to feel that again. We are never, ever in a million years going to
Once
feel
in
that
a
again.
life, it's a once in a lifetime event. Haley's comment only comes around every so
Yeah.
often. But you said you had a better understanding, or you have an understanding of Paige. So, what is your understanding of Paige? What do you think drives Paige? Because obviously, uber successful podcast, New York Times bestseller. At this point, a lot of people say she doesn't need Bravo, even though I personally think she will definitely be coming back for a season 10 of Summer House. What do you think drives Paige DeSorbo?
I think it's really interesting because there was a point where, especially with her friendship with Hannah and with Amanda, it makes it really hard to go back to Bravo. I think
Yeah.
in the first place, it made it really difficult for her to continue doing the show when she had Hannah and Giggly Squad off of it, and she still had to foster a relationship with Amanda and also Kyle in the house. And I think those years probably forced her to do the show, and then she realized that she could hit bigger heights if she just continued. So now I think that she's at her most famous, I would say. but she still has this relationship with the girls in the house, with what the network gave her to begin with. This is something that she's always wanted, and I think that she is really grateful that Bravo gave her that platform. So I think if she ever walked away, it would be for a big reason, and not just because I think I'm too famous for this. I think she is humble enough to realize she wouldn't have any of this if it wasn't for Summer House to begin with.
It is interesting in this day and age, it's like we've moved further and further away from like movie stars and sometimes pop stars, and now it's reality stars and influencers. Yep. And there's no real handbook for how this career is supposed to go. I mean, like, people are, sometimes nearing 15, 16 years on a reality show, but there's no like, oh, eventually you retire in reality or you retire in influencing. We don't know what it looks like 10 years from now, and I think Paige is smart enough to know that. But did you also catch, people have been talking about the Amanda Batula Instagram post that was a carousel, and there was a slide where it looked like there was filming happening, and it looked like Amanda and Lindsay's baby Gemma. And there is a lot of speculation that they are filming a spinoff of the girls in the city, or potentially maybe those ladies going to Roni in some fashion, even though we had back and forth if Roni was on pause. And he said it's definitely not on pause. And I had heard from some sources that Lindsay was joining Roni. Did you catch that? And what are your thoughts about a possible spinoff?
I did see that, and I think I said on social media at some point that there is a world in which there is a Summer House that continues with a West, Jesse, Lexi, maybe Gabby. Even though she is closer with Lindsay, I think Gabby is, and like, she adds things, and I don't think that they utilize her to the best of her ability in terms of cutting her scenes out. I think that she's great, and I don't think that they keep enough of her in. So there's a world in which Summer House continues, but I think especially like a Paige, Amanda, Lindsay, I mean, she has a kid now, and she even said she's not going to come back in full force. If anything, she'll be doing some guest appearances for Summer House next season. So I think that it is a natural step, if Roni is canceled, to have these women explore Manhattan and their friendships there. And I think it would be a really good compliment to the new like Manhattan kids show.
What is that? Next Gen NYC?
Next Gen NYC, yeah.
Which premieres the first week of June, I think, you guys. Yeah.
I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because it's a bunch of kids from like former reality stars on Bravo. We have Meredith Marks and Seth Marks' son, Brooks. We have Candy Burris' daughter, right? She's in there. Yeah. I think we have Kim Zolciak Bierman, one of the Biermans. So it potentially, listen, I long for the days of NYC prep. So anything with NYC in the title, I'm always going to be into. But I potentially think that they already are filming that spinoff already.
And I think that's a great idea, especially because Roni's like really in limbo right now. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it seems, from what I've seen on the internet, the fan reaction to this new rebooted cast of Roni for the last 2 seasons has really not been great. But there are these women that are on a show in a summer house that live their lives in New York that the audience is really invested in. So why not take them, throw them into the city, and they could cross over with the Roni girls if they decide to keep both shows. But I think
it's a no-brainer, and you get to keep Lindsay in the fold, which I know they appreciate what Lindsay does for reality TV.
I love Lindsay Hubbard.
I do too. Like, by the way, I don't want bad for Carl. I worry about soft bar every day of my life at this point, but you've got to appreciate what a reality star she is. And for those that get it. And for those that don't, I think there's a lot of anger there, but you've got to understand reality stars, they're a different breed. And for somebody like Lindsay in last week's episode to forcefully do a freedom dinner, that's amazing. I mean, come on. Like, that is classic.
Only Lindsay Hubbard can do that. And really, she couldn't have timed it any better when she points at the table. Well, Jesse, you're free now. Lexi, you're free now. Carl, you're free. I'm free. I mean, half the table was free. Why not celebrate?
Yeah, by the way, because also, you're right, only Lindsay could do that, because I can't imagine Sierra ever having the chutzpah to be like, this is a freedom dinner from West,
Yeah.
Also, the big storyline in Summer House, which people are tired of, but I think it's so funny in its ridiculousness, is the Jesse Lexi storyline. Which, by the way, I thought Lexi really nailed it a couple weeks ago in really being able to kind of decipher what Jesse was doing. Then she went back with him, and a lot of people are really almost, I see anti-Lexi sentiment, and I'm like, Jesse is the one we should be putting the
Yes.
spotlight on here.
Yes.
It's really simple. And by the way, it doesn't make him an overall bad person. He's going to be fine. He's going to work his way back into everybody's good graces, but this is obvious to me.
Yes. Jesse has bothered me so much this season, and I'm so glad. Lexi has been a standout for me in Summer House this season. She has been someone that has consistently brought a storyline this entire season. She's spoken her mind when she needed to. And I think that she clocked Jesse, the only misstep that she had, which honestly is canon. Like, if every person listening and watching this show has not gotten back with an ex that like love bombed them for a couple weeks, like you're not telling the truth.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, too, is that I always ask the audience of, like, come on, put yourself in, like, I mean, this is a way darker topic, but the Diddy topic, people are not understanding Cassie, continuing a relationship after the abuse. And I'm like, well, then you've never been in a bad relationship. Yeah. And I think most of us have been in some form of a bad relationship at some point, not to that extreme, but like, you have to look at your own lives or your friends' lives. You get into weird situations, but it is interesting when you try to edit it down for a 43-minute show. And, Lexi also, I think, I didn't love her bringing Sierra into it, or I felt like she could have communicated a little more clearly in terms of that, because this is the man we should be highlighting, not Sierra, this man, and whatever else comes. I know what she was trying to say. I just don't know if she said it effectively.
I agree. And I think that honestly, Kyle ruined that whole thing, because had he not miscommunicated to Lexi, I don't think Lexi would have done her big thing at the table where she said, I have a speech for Jesse. Stop telling people things that aren't true, and I don't trust you, Sierra.
Oh, I love Kyle for that. I love Kyle for going to but by the way, funny. Because Jesse literally did in that episode what she was saying all summer is that he took all the friends, and then he didn't like outwardly badmouth her, but he let people come to their own assumptions by like, I guess she just doesn't like me having a good time with Sierra, I guess.
I don't, and he still goes on podcasts and Watch What Happens Live.
Oh,
and
did you see the Tanks interview?
Did I see yes. And it bothers me so much because it is so clear when you watch it back that is what is happening. Like, he is speaking to...
He gaslights the gaslit situation where he's still doubling and tripling down. And I love that, like, we have this video photographic evidence, and he tries to make us believe that we're not seeing what we believe. And also the hot mic moment from like 5 episodes where he was like, what you did with Wes at the club was worse than like the toe suck, and he did it behind the car.
That put me over the edge. When also, I have such a soft spot for West. I think that he is great. I think that he is such a sweetie. I wish that on that Watch What Happens Live episode, he turned to Jesse and said, you know exactly what you were doing. Like, let's just cut this.
You could tell. By the way, Holden's referencing the Watch What Happens Live last week with Wes and Jesse. And, Jesse's getting all these questions. And you could tell West, which, by the way, Wes was very red-faced that entire episode for some reason. But Wes kind of was like almost giggling to himself at points, and some could say because the heat's off him from last season with Sierra, but I feel like Jesse has doubled and tripled down. And then I was listening to Radio Andy today, Andy Cohen's show, and Tinks was on there. I just happened to be listening to it, and Tinks was like, yeah, the internet got in a tizzy about my interview with Jesse. And I don't even like that. I'm like, you've got to understand why. You've got to understand why people are in a tizzy about that interview.
It doesn't make any sense to me. And if we really want to go like a layer further, when Tinks and Lexi were on Watch What Happens Live together, it was very clear to me that Tinks did not like her. And so to then double down on that and then recently record a podcast with Jesse, like her podcast with Jesse was recorded after the Watch What Happens Live with Lexi, where everyone was already saying it's because she has a friendship with Jesse. She clearly didn't like Lexi. And then she goes and records this podcast. And then she goes on Radio Andy and says, I don't know why people are mad about what he's saying. It all just like blows my mind because.
And what I hate is that you can also sense a glee with Tinks that, well, any attention is good attention, whether it be negative or positive, where it's like you're riding, which by the way, like I see that on TikTok a lot, is like you ride these waves of what is pop. It takes a lot to like just put out what you want. And obviously there's an algorithm involved, but it is frustrating when it's like, Tinks, you're smart enough to know exactly why people are bothered by that interview, because somebody like her should be able to press, especially in the name of women, somebody like Jesse and see it as clearly as the rest of us do.
Yeah, or at least push a little. Say,
Yeah.
you've said on Watch What Happens Live, you've doubled down on the fact that you don't believe that you were trying to manipulate the other cast against Lexi. But can you at least see that the way that it is shown to the public, you are clearly taking them aside and speaking to anyone who will listen, saying bad things about Lexi?
Or also, yeah, I mean, just also then say, hey, I might want to date Jesse. That's why
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
this is so
Yeah.
nice. I actually really like Jesse I like his beautiful toothy smile. I like your idea about potentially spinning off Summer House because my question is, will Lexi come back? And Gabby, like you said, and I agree with, is really not highlighted in an effective way, even though she still has some great zingers. Imrul is obviously out of there. He didn't appear in the cast photo either. We'll probably have our first trailer for the reunion on Wednesday, I would imagine, or maybe Tuesday night. So I'm really excited to see what happens. But do you see a world, I think you do, in which Lexi does come back?
I just personally would love to see her back. I just love what she brought to this season. I think it's hard, of course, because she has a separate career and she doesn't need Bravo to continue doing the modeling work that she was doing prior. Of course, this was a nice boost, but it's not like she is trying to push something else that she would really need Bravo for. However, if they were to split the cast and have Paige, Amanda, Sierra, Lindsay, and then maybe Gabby go off to film this new show, I think Lexi would have to come back to be an anchor with the two boys to bring in some like fresh blood for the next season.
There's no way you're getting Kyle out of Summer House. He's going to be the old man. Like, he's going to be like, you kids.
I know. And that is really what drives me crazy. And he's not going to leave even when they give Amanda a spinoff. Like, and that is just who Kyle Cook is.
And I've really grown to appreciate that. Now, moving on, see, like, I always consider that light fun Summer House. Even when it's dramatic, there's like a lightness about it. Maybe not so much with the Carl Lindsay stuff last season, but this season it's very, very light. And then we have the opposite end of the spectrum with the Valley this season. And that to me is just like hellfire and darkness and brimstone, and really is a solid argument to not have friend groups. What is your take on the Valley?
I love it as a show. I love that they decided to take Vanderpump Rules and kind of take some core members and then form a new friend group around them. Anytime
kind of like what they might be doing with Lindsay and Amanda.
And I think that's smart too, because they see the reception to the Valley and it's been great. So the fact that they already kind of have a proven idea that has been on for 2 seasons that people are loving, why not do it with Summer House and having the girls film in Manhattan? I think that would be great. But anytime I can see Kristen Doty on television, I will watch. She is everything to me.
She's going to be giving birth this month, I think. I know. Or beginning of June. Like, it's soon.
I just love her. But the fact that, like, any storyline she has and has had the last 2 seasons is not nearly as dark as any storyline as any other couple on the Valley is crazy. I think Jax needs to be in intense, solitary confinement, honestly. Last week's episode, when he is sending in video clips from his rehab, I need his devices taken away.
Well, it does beg the question of how do these facilities run? And I mean, maybe just do a spinoff of Jackson, a mental health facility. I mean, God. That's not, it's not effective probably for the actual therapy, but it does make you wonder what is going on. And then I'm a big proponent of the Valley After Show, which you can find on Peacock, and it really adds to the darkness of it because he's still blowing up Brittany during these after show where he's just constantly texting her or calling her. And it really does make you nervous. Do you see a world in which this show can work without Jax?
I think so now. If you would have asked me that last season, I don't think I would have said yes. But I think there are other storylines, especially with Kristen being a new mom and Brittany being single again. I've always really liked Brittany. So to kind of see her be single in Hollywood or the Valley again, I would be interested to see her dating.
Oh my God, wouldn't that be crazy to watch Brittany on a string of blind dates?
I would love that, honestly. Like a Love Hotel, but not with housewives, but with other Bravos, like single Bravo stars.
Where do you stand with like cast members that we really haven't seen this much this season? Not cast members officially, but the Sheena and the Lala and the Schwartz. And, a lot of people had a lot of things to say of like, we don't need Lala in the Valley, which I do agree with. But what do you think about that?
I don't need Lala on television right now, personally. She bothered me a lot.
Do you want to get popped, Holden? Is that what you're saying? Do you want to get popped?
I'm like really scared. But now that she has Ocean and I forget her other daughter's name,
It's beautiful other daughter. Yes.
I do not want Lala to come for me. I just need her to take
Oh,
a break.
Souza, baby Souza. Sorry, Souza is the name. Yeah.
I really do not want to see her on television right now, but I love Sheena. And anytime, again, same thing with Kristen. I think Sheena's just gold. And Lala just does this thing where she crosses this line and like her ego is so crazy that it bothers me. And then she says stuff off the shows that makes it even worse. So that's why I don't want to see her. I think that she could
that's
take
it. Yeah, she will. She'll double and triple down in a very, like, not a Jesse Solomon way, but in a very
like it's aggressive.
Combative way where there's a little, like, where you get scared and not in a good way. Whereas Sheena, you can almost compare her to Lindsay in a certain way where I'm like, put some respect on Sheena's name. Sheena is who Sheena is. And there is this element of, yeah, she wants to be on TV. She'll tell you that. She wants to be in the public eye. She'll tell you that. But I think there still is this sweetness and there's this almost underdog quality about Sheena that you sometimes, or at least I do, I root for her that I don't in the same way for Lala.
I feel the exact same way. Sheena, for me, has always been a comfort person. Even when I could not stand her on Vanderpump Rules, everything that she did to me was camp. Like doing splits on the Sir Bar, singing "Good as Gold," getting in the studio.
I mean, she would sing "Good as Gold" at a drop of a hat. Like she was ready with that song at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
She created conflict. She was always involved in the drama. She always held she knows where all the bodies are buried. That's the other thing. That's my argument for more Sheena on the Valley is because I know her relationship with Janet is very close and I know they have a lot of secrets, you know?
That, and also the fact that they had to call Sheena in, Jesse and Michelle, to confirm that Jesse's girlfriend was cheating on her. Have Sheena come and meet them in real life. Like, I loved having a on the phone Sheena at the bottom of my screen, but I just want to see her.
Well, that was great because it was like the Sheena calling in, and that's like, this is her moment, but also to potentially name drop somebody from Baywatch. And for me, a lot of people have speculated who this is. I don't care. If it's not David Hasselhoff, I could care less what member of Baywatch it is. If it was David Hasselhoff, that would have just tickled my funny bone till the end of time. So I choose to believe that it was David Hasselhoff they're referring to, even though I know I'm wrong. But yeah, the show works. And I just like, yes, it is dark. That is what you're signing up for watching this show, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think there are some things that we still need to uncover with Danny and Nia that I feel are bubbling under the surface that is really, really dark regarding maybe his drinking and...
Well, do you agree with him being called out or like Nia not saying that he was wasted at the dinner? Like, to me, that was like...
I didn't think it was like that big of a deal. Like, of course he was wasted. I don't know why it was a huge deal to everyone else that Nia wasn't just like flat out saying that he was wasted. I get the idea that they're upset that they're trying to cover up and say that everything is perfect at home when it clearly is not, because we heard her yelling at him on the phone earlier in the van on the way to the winery. I get that probably after a while that becomes annoying because someone like Brittany is crying every single week because her ex-husband is sending her rage texts from rehab and she has to show that on camera every single day. And that would wear at me too. But to explode over the fact that she wasn't explicitly saying that he was wasted after that entire day at the winery, we can see it.
Yeah, we already know, but also, isn't that what she's supposed to do as a partner to Danny?
Yeah, like
is not lead with, oh, he's hammered, man. I would never. He's scared. No, he's like passed out. We don't want him out here grabbing ass drunk. Like, put him to bed.
I think Nia, again, like knows Danny's place in that too. She wants to protect him, and she also knows that there's been some stuff behind the scenes that have then come to camera with the Jasmine stuff that she doesn't want a repeat of that either. So she's making him sleep. She's not waking him up for dinner. She's barely trying.
But I've watched enough reality television that once they started really hopping on that, like I know people like to hop on storylines, but it made me nervous that there might be more info to come out about Danny that we have not been privy to yet, because I'm like, why are you all hopping on this so intensely? I get it from Jasmine's point of view, but the rest of it, I was like, is something else going to drop? But that's the great thing. You play Russian roulette with this crew and you're going to be able to point at everybody in some sort of way, because then we have Jesse Lally and, his ex Michelle. Where do you by the way, how hot was he in those diapers, right? The undies.
it's really hard for me to root for Michelle. I feel for her, but
Yeah, what
it's hard for me to
everybody
root
says
for
this.
her.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you
And
think it is?
I think that she just doesn't have what it takes to be on reality TV. I think that she's too normal. Except for when she threw that glass of water on Jesse's face last
That was a
episode,
perfect
which was
throw.
great. I
And it was
loved when
shot perfectly. The way the
yes,
long shot
that
of
entire scene where she's like screaming from the top of the stairs, being like, "If you want me to tell everyone, I will." That was really the only time where I've seen her get activated enough to be good reality TV. I think that she really tries to keep it buttoned up for their child, which I think is really admirable. But at the same time, it doesn't bode for the best reality TV personality. And Jesse's the exact opposite, where he will say anything to get under her skin and just like make up, like
Yes.
making up that your ex-wife was a prostitute
It's
for
insane.
no reason. For no reason.
And you know what? So us as an audience, then we hear it so much that we almost normalize it in our heads that you really have to remind yourself of what a messed up thing that is to say
Yes.
when you're on TV and you have a 3-year-old, like how dark that is, because that does live forever. And that's like, I think we get used to these things and we're like, oh, Jesse's so funny. That's crazy. But it's like, that's beyond the pale.
Yeah, and the fact that he knows that he's saying that, knowing that it's going to end up back on television, because they're trying to find the mole for the boys group chat, which they know it's someone
Oh
on the
my
show.
God.
So
Oh
of
my
course it's
God.
going to come to camera. So he's saying that, knowing that it's going to come to camera, knowing that Michelle's going to find out. And that is really what bothers me about Jesse, because he really doesn't care what comes out of his mouth as long as he can get under Michelle's skin enough to make it seem like she still cares about him in any way, shape, or form.
But that's it. It's he gets off on getting under her skin. Like
Yeah.
that is, and that's a really kind of dangerous trait to have, yet really a great trait to have for reality television. And the
Yeah.
other thing you said that I found fascinating is that Michelle, might not be made for reality television, but that just means she's a good person. So
Yes.
it's like, we're saying you're kind of like, that's a really amazing thing to be a good person. But sometimes people would trade that in to be like, to pop on reality television.
Yeah, and I think Michelle really, season 1 especially, she was keeping it buttoned up. She wasn't giving us too much as an audience. Also, her voice tends to be really monotone.
Yeah,
and there's
and she
not
has
a
some
lot of
weird
inflection.
pronunciations.
Yeah. So for me, like, it's different than being soft-spoken. Nia is soft-spoken, but I don't mind it as much. Michelle, it seems like she's trying to speak very monotone and not give too much away, and even the way that she delivers things. So to me, it feels too put on for reality TV, especially when you're working with a Jax, a Kristen, a Brittany, people that are experts at this.
Yeah. Well, and also the first season she was buttoned up because she was actually trying to figure out something in her
Like,
head
what
of
was
like she
gonna happen,
didn't want
yeah.
that relationship to go on. And we saw her extreme distaste even when they were trying to work it out, where it was really interesting. So I think that's always a fascinating kind of somebody trying to hide something from the cameras is really
Yeah.
good because we can usually see that. You can still, the camera still picks that up. So the Valley is humming along. They've already filmed the reunion for this because they have 2 cast members that are pregnant, Kristen and Nia. So I love that that's already done, but it'll be interesting to see how much drama/trauma happens post this reunion
Yeah.
because we already need to pick back up cameras immediately.
I know. I think it's really interesting. I don't think it's really ever been done that they've filmed a reunion after episode 3 aired.
No, I think it's very, very unusual. But at the same time, I'm so happy it got a reunion because the first
I know,
season
because
didn't.
the first season didn't, which it really needed one, honestly. But the fact that they were able to actually sit down and talk through everything, I think they got most of the episodes. I don't think all of them are done by the time they filmed. But I'm really excited to see what kind of happens the rest of the season and then how they take it through the reunion, because by the time that airs, I think they'll probably only have a month or 2 before they pick back up. And I want the cast to stay the exact same. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want them to
Oh,
cast anyone else.
I actually over the years I've kind of grown out of like that person needs to leave, that person needs to
Yeah.
leave, because I'm like, even the people I really dislike, that means I feel something, which is what I'm like watching for, is to feel anything. And you know these shows work by disliking somebody and loving somebody, and sometimes those
Yeah.
can flip from season to season. Jax, I know, comes back, or I was told comes back on episode 10, and this week will be
Okay.
episode 6. So it'll be interesting to see if he continues to rage text during these next 4 episodes. So the shadow of Jax will always be there. But loving the Valley and the darkness is what we're there for. The other thing is you haven't really done many this. Did you watch the second season of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives yet?
I actually just watched episode 1 today.
Okay, because I was like, why is this dude not posting about Secret Lives of Mormon Wives? You posted about it a little bit ago, and it was before the season aired. But this, I can't wait to get your opinions on this once you watch the entire thing or once you start making videos about this, because this does it. I love that they include arguing about social media and the show.
Yes.
Like they even say, like, we're on a reality show. That's why. And that, I think, is some of the unspoken things that Brittany is talking about in scenes, or trying to talk around the fact that this is their life, and, you know, social media and edits. And
Yeah.
I want that fourth wall to completely go down at times. Like, I don't need to talk to the crew, but I want them to be able to talk about the jealousies over brand deals. And like, that's what
Yes.
I appreciate that about the Mormon Wives show.
I thought that we were getting there with Bravo. I really did, especially with
We're
that last
close.
season of Vanderpump Rules. It felt like there was no fourth wall. Like, we had Sheena, Lala, honestly, everyone talking to camera about what was happening in real life during Scandival, off camera and on social media, and the reception to it, and how Ariana's career skyrocketed. I mean, Lala got so mad that Ariana became super famous. And that's all stuff that happened on social media outside of the show. And I liked that they leaned into that, because I think it was a really important angle to attack that, like, last season of Vanderpump after Scandival. And I love that they do that with Mormon Wives. Like, even in the first episode, they reference a lot, like, how has your life changed after this entire thing blew up after season one was released? And the introduction of the new wife, who everyone is saying, like Michaela said it best, she wants to come back for clout.
Oh, Miranda.
Miranda, yeah.
Which Miranda, actually, throughout the season, I grew to really, or like, I grew to, not appreciate is the word, but I like her by the end of the season. But it is interesting. I love the backdrop of mom talk, and like, are you here for the right reasons, and accepting people into mom talk. And like, I watched the entire second season. I still couldn't tell you really what necessarily mom talk is, but I like that mystery that they keep saying, will we let her into mom talk? And I'm like, you guys don't even like each other, the ones in mom talk. Like, I don't even know what, like, just put her in. Who cares?
Yeah.
I like that it's like Menudo or some boy band, like mom talk. But I love it. How do you, as you do this now every day, you're posting multiple times, you're updating YouTube, Instagram, all of this stuff. How do you consume media now? Like, how much of your day is spent watching things, looking for things, searching for things? How do you know when you have that inspiration to make something?
I think for a lot of the Bravo stuff, it happens naturally because I'm already watching the shows or new shows that are coming out that I have an interest in. Like, I just watched Overcompensating over the weekend.
The Benito Skinner's new show. I really want to see that. Was it good? I actually saw your video. You loved it.
Yeah, it's great. And it was a quick show. I think it's like 8 episodes, 30 minutes each. So I binged it over the weekend and I loved it. But just in general, when I'm looking for stories and stuff, I just scroll through Twitter, and honestly, if something interests me, then I'll start to research it more. I do have a full-time job, so I try to kind of.
Oh my God, you have a full-time job? Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I know.
But I mean, are we getting to a place where, I mean, is there ever a world in which you could do what you do full-time, the stuff we see on the internet?
I think so. I'm just trying to figure out.
Is that a goal?
I'm not sure. Only because I love the stability that my full-time job gives me with benefits.
Yeah. That's
so the
TikTok doesn't really have a health plan.
TikTok does not have health insurance. They don't have a 401k. So the fact that I can use that and leverage it, I work from home, so I can do both pretty easily unless I'm really like slammed at work. But I think there's a world in which if I start to do more, which I'm looking to do this year, that it might be too hard to do both at the same time.
But you do it because you love it, it seems.
Yeah. And my bottom line thing is I'm going to be watching these things anyway. I'm going to be on Twitter and TikTok scrolling, looking at these stories anyway. So why not post about it? That was my philosophy in the beginning, and that's still my philosophy now, because even if I just decided it's too much to do both, like, let me just focus on my full-time job, I'd still be doing it on my own time. So that's why I still can straddle it and enjoy posting, because I consume all that media anyway.
It's hard because, like, what you do, like, I really appreciate it because, you know, I'm used to this form, you know, an audio podcast that, you know, YouTube, but like mainly this started as an audio show, and I love that. And I love having long-winded conversations with people about things that really excite us. But then with TikTok, you know, it's like I get on there, it's hard to keep things short. It's hard to be like, well, I want to put this in too, or I want to talk about this. And that's why podcasting is I love the form so much, but it's really for me, hard to focus or drill down on one idea when I want to talk about 10 ideas.
That's how I felt, but the opposite way. That's why I started doing YouTube this year, so I could do longer deep dive videos on things in pop culture that I've always loved, because TikTok felt limiting to the point where a
So on
topic.
YouTube, you're doing deep dives.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll go like 20-ish minutes, probably 20 to 30 minutes for a lot of these deep dive videos, because they allow me to really get into details that I wouldn't put into a TikTok. And that, I think, has really allowed me to do something different and something that I like even more, which is having and talking about these things that I love, but doing research to create like a fun story about it all.
So you work off of an outline? Do you work with a full script? Like, and by the way, I'm going to put his YouTube in the show notes. So go subscribe if you dig this, which I think you will. Do you work off an outline? Like when you put these things together, or you fully script this out?
I'll do an outline. I think a lot of the stuff that I want. So, for example, I did a deep dive on the rumor that Lally and Michelle couldn't read.
Oh my
Because
God,
it's one
I
of my
love the
favorite internet conspiracies ever. And so with that, I really wanted to make sure I hit all of the main points, like where it came from, how Lally and Michelle has reacted to it over the years, because she has made comments about it. Other co-stars that she's had, have they commented on it? What have they said about it? And then seeing what the internet has said over the years, and what, you know, evidence they've provided to back it up. So I'll work off of that kind of outline where I have a chronological order of everything, and then I'll hit each point and talk about it at length.
So you guys, if you don't know, I'm sure you do know, there was like a long-standing internet rumor that Lally and Michelle can't read, and it got kicked up again in the last couple of weeks because Jake Shane on his show interviewed Lally and Michelle, and Lally and Michelle fully confronted it. It was like, "Give me your, I can read. Are you kidding me?" And it was like this great moment. Jake Shane did it like this. I thought it was such an amazing moment, and I loved that she leaned into it. But it's been long-standing where I was even like, "Yeah, maybe she can't read. I don't know. You know, child stars. Who knows, right?" So I thought that was amazing. So you do the deep dives on there, and what is like the next? What can you tease? What's in the hopper, or is it just spur of the moment?
I have. So this week, actually, I'm putting out a video on Glee, like separately from the Lally and Michelle stuff. It just happens to be a week that I'm doing Glee, because a lot of people have been going back to watch it, and Jake Shane's podcast really made people invested in Glee and Leah again. I wanted to just do a deep dive on how it impacted pop culture and my favorite moments from the show, how it actually came to be, because a lot of people don't know the origin of Glee, how it started, and what it really did for the culture at the time it was airing.
And people don't realize that's a Ryan Murphy production. You know, like Ryan Murphy has his hands in everything. We were just talking on yesterday's show about All's Fair, the new Kim Kardashian series on Hulu that Ryan Murphy is doing, which we said the trailer looks like ridiculous in the best way, which I'm really interested to see. But Ryan Murphy did Glee. Ryan Murphy's everywhere.
Yeah, and it's stuff like that where I want to talk about it in a more long form kind of like, and flesh it out, because on TikTok I feel limited. Even though I can post up to 10-minute videos, no one's sticking around for a 10-minute video on TikTok. That's just not how it works.
I literally posted a 10-minute video last week. I was like, let's keep going. I literally got cut off. I was like, why did it cut me off? It was like, I went over 10 minutes.
And that's like when I can sit and talk to my camera for a while, that's when I really feel like I can get all of my ideas out the way that I want to say them. On TikTok, there are times where I feel like it's hard for me to say what I want to say in a concise way. And that's why I'll reshoot things, because there's a better and quicker way to say something. But on YouTube, I feel like I can kind of ramble, and it makes the video better, because it really is, it becomes stream of consciousness for me on a topic that I know so well. Like, I love Glee so much. This video that I'm editing now, I am laughing at because it's just my genuine reaction to the show.
That's amazing. That's what you got to go with, your internal clock, you know?
Yeah.
We have like somebody that we're giant fans of, I know from watching is that I was trying to explain to the audience, I think a month ago, I don't know how I discovered her on TikTok, but there is a creator, Karina Fulgerry. Is that how we say her last name?
Fulgerry, yeah.
Fulgerry.
I think that's right.
How do you, which you I know love as well. And for a time, you were doing like I think daily updates about Karina's videos because Karina will. I mean, talk about somebody that can go over the 10-minute mark on TikTok. But I'll sit there and I'll watch the whole however long Karina talks. I will
Yeah.
watch because she'll get in there. But how do you describe Karina to people? Because I find a hard time describing it and why I love her so much.
I really don't even know how to describe her. I will say the reason I love her so much is because really it is a stream of consciousness dialogue. It's like she says everything that she's thinking. And I think a lot of people have felt endeared to her because they're like, yes, that's my internal monologue every single day, but I just don't post it on the internet. And that is why I think that she has, at this point, like 550,000 followers.
It's insane. It really is insane. And like she was having a bad I sound insane. She was having a bad weekend this weekend. She was
She was having a
crying
bad
and I felt so
weekend.
bad for her. And she's graduating this week and she's been talking about this graduation for a while now. And I'm worried how she's going to do after graduation. But it is like its own reality series in a way that I get addicted to.
Yes, that's a great comparison because there's so many times where she'll go on 40-minute rants and it's split up into like 10 videos. And the comments on maybe the 5th through 10th part is, I need the beginning. I'm coming in the middle of this." It's people going back to the beginning and they have to watch all 10 parts. It really is just so interesting to watch.
And then she has a friend group like Sydney Alpers. Like then I went and like started watching Sydney's videos, and you know, this is I don't know. For some reason, I just think she has a weird star quality. And for those who get it, and those who don't, you know,
Yes.
you should check it out. But I didn't feel that way at first, but then somehow just mysteriously, I just started like I need to watch her.
It just clicked. Like that's how it was for me too. And she started to see the everyday recaps I was doing. And the reason I started that is
Oh, did
because
she
my
get
friend,
upset about it?
no. She was
Oh, wait,
so
wait.
sweet about it. Um, Basically my friends and I watch her so much and she'll sometimes post 30 videos in a day.
Yeah.
And if my friends and I are basically saying to ourselves, we can't watch all of these. So let's like divide and conquer and kind of like help each other piece together what happened in Corinna's day. Like, I'm not even kidding. So that's then the light bulb went off in my head. I was like, if we're doing that, there are other people out there that are doing the same thing and not getting every part of the story. And that's when I decided to start doing the everyday recaps. And then slowly her friend group started to follow me, like Sydney and Leah. And eventually Corinna followed me after one of her friends talked to her in a video about how I was doing these recaps. And she DM'd me and said, I really love watching your recaps. Sometimes I can't go back and watch my own videos because I like hate the way my voice sounds, but I love to watch yours because you make it fun for me to watch my own day.
And yeah, Sydney once liked a TikTok of mine. Like we were watching Corinna on YouTube. She had a couple videos on there, and I put one out. And Sydney liked it. And by the way, it made my day great when I got that like from
Yeah.
Sydney. Like I have had no contact with Corinna, but I love her to death. And congratulations on your graduation this week, Corinna. If somebody gets this to you, we're very proud of you. So God, this has been so amazing already, but I haven't even, there's 1,000 topics that I wanted to ask you about. Summer House, the Valley. Okay. So you seem very excited. Lorde has announced a new album, right?
Yes.
She also announced a tour. And what I will say, Lorde, and I was talking to a friend that is a professor, and he's always just like, Lorde, for some reason, is the musical artist that even my students, has moved people in such a way, or a certain demographic where they will follow her to the ends of the earth. What do you think about Lorde's, like the power that Lorde has and what she means to people?
I think it's really interesting because she impacted so many of us during a very formative time in all of our lives, but she doesn't seem to realize that she has that star power. It's very strange to me when she talks about her relationship to fame because us as her fans, I mean, I listened to Pure Heroine. I'm trying to think when I think it came out when I was 15. And she wrote that album when she was 15, I believe.
Yeah.
And then she released it when she was 18. So the fact that she was so young, and then you find out that she wrote all of these songs when she was so like what my age at the time, I was just blown away by her. And I've always loved everything that she has done. I think that her outlook on music and the way that she wants to be really honest in her songwriting, it's a different type of honesty, I feel, because I love Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is the most poetic songwriter ever, and she can weave the way that she's feeling into like a poem in every song. And Lord to me feels just very like straight and narrow, and the way that she's feeling, she's going to let you know in impactful words that it's not like she's disguising it or shrouding it in a poem or a hidden message that you have to decipher. And I love Taylor for that reason, but I also love Lord for the fact that she will just say how it is, and the production around it. I think that she's a really interesting ear for the way that she wants her songs to be created. And I don't know. I could
Which,
go
by the
on
way,
for
she
hours.
she decided on this album to not use Bleacher's guy, Taylor's guy.
Yeah,
What's his name?
Jack
Why am I?
Antonoff.
Yeah, Jack Antonoff. She had worked with Jack Antonoff, chose like a different vibe this time, which I don't think there was any drama there. She just wanted to use somebody else, which I'm curious when Taylor will, stop working with Jack
Yeah.
Antonoff to get a different flavor, a different vibe. But she just did a Rolling Stone interview, and I think she was talking with Chapel Roan about this, and she was talking about identity of like, well, I sometimes feel like a woman, I sometimes feel like a man, and I thought that was really kind of this interesting talk about identity and feeling, which I think a lot of young people actually go through. And also, what's great is that, we're talking about Lorde and Taylor Swift. There's no comparison, obviously, but also what's amazing about pop culture is that there's room for everybody.
Yeah.
You got the Addison Rays, which you pointed out, I think is
I love
announcing
Addison Rae.
tracks from a new album. You have Lorde, you have Chapel, there's just a glut of female pop stars. What's her name? The other, you posted about her, the other, what's her name? Olivia Rodrigo.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She's still out there on the road killing it. I love the power of the pop singer, the female pop singer. What is your take on Chapel Roan?
I love Chapel. I have been listening to her for a very long time, and I think right when she was announced to be an opener for Olivia Rodrigo, I said online that she's about to have a major moment. I loved Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, and I was like, once more people start to hear this album, they are going to love
It's a
her.
great album.
I'm obsessed with that album. And I think that she has come at her career in a very interesting way. I always talk about, like, there are people that are wanting to be famous and going to do everything in their power to be famous and really embrace the idea of fame. And my two biggest people that I say follow that are like a Taylor Swift and a Gaga. They are two people.
What about a Beyonce?
Oh, Beyonce as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in recent years, Beyonce has kind of taken a step back, and so is Taylor, and so is Gaga, I guess. But like, they're all at the top of their games now, and I think that's a testament to the fact that they've always wanted to be famous, and they will do what it takes to kind of really navigate those waters and be in the public eye and enjoy it and say, if I'm going to be doing this, that's just how it is. But for someone like a Chapel, she came in and blew up, and she had the type of overnight success that like no one's ever going to prepare you for that. So the fact that she went from having 50,000 monthly listeners to 50 million over 6 months, and getting recognized on the street and having death threats sent to her family and being like tugged and pulled at in crowds, that's not something that gradually happened to her. It happened to her overnight. And I think it was really honestly brave of her to speak up at the height of her fame to say, stop doing this to me, because of how volatile the internet can be. I think that if it was...
And by the way, she's a student of the internet. She has like a whole history of like in the past, before she was famous, posting on TikTok and all that. She can't do any of that stuff anymore.
Yeah. And I think she really just wanted to disregard the main pop girl track of just saying, okay, this is my life now, and I'm going to accept it and lean into it because that's how I'm going to further my career. She said, if this ruins my career, I don't really care. I don't want to be harassed every single day. I don't want my parents to get death threats. And I think saying that when you now have so many eyes on you is a really brave thing to do, and I hated the way that she got attacked for it.
Well, it's brave and dangerous because
Yeah,
you know how the internet works is that they look for any kind of weakness and then they attack that, or they'll say, "Oh, she's a shrew, she's mean, she hates
yeah,
her fans." So I was kind of shocked she did the Call Her Daddy interview, to be honest, because I thought she was at
yes,
like I didn't think she needed that. I thought, you know, there's power in silence sometimes, and I always think back to when Alanis Morissette was coming up, which that Jagged Little Pill album just like blew up. It was insane,
yeah.
and obviously different time periods and really pre what the internet is today, but nothing can prepare you for that, and we don't really give grace to anybody in pop culture.
That's a really hard thing, and I think that's really where there's room on the internet just to be better as a whole, because even though these people are in the public eye, I don't think that that discredits them from being given grace in certain situations. And I think there's a lot of passive viewers online that then become aggressive when someone that they stan or just like they think that they
It's like, yeah,
have the authority to
we're
say,
radicalized. We're getting
yeah.
radicalized online to like hate like pop culture people. It's interesting.
It's just
Yeah, no.
so like it's just a weird thing to like experience and see
Do you
online all
go
the
out to these
time.
concerts, by the way? Do you like to go out and like see live music
Yeah,
yourself? Like, did you go to the
yeah,
Eras tour, and are you going to go to
yeah. I went to the
Beyonce?
Eras tour. I'm seeing Cowboy Carter next month, which I'm super excited for. And then I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I'm seeing Gaga this year,
Yeah, I'm
so I'm
seeing
really excited for
Gaga
that.
in San Francisco in July. I'm so excited. I can't
I
wait.
cannot wait for
Uh,
that.
But they are made differently. I listened to Beyonce's mom's autobiography last week,
Mhm.
and just the amount of training that Beyonce was doing at a very young age, like it was a machine almost. She really, really wanted this, and it's really interesting to see that evolution. The capper to all this is Katy Perry is on her Lifetimes tour right now, and here's another one really getting thrown around by the internet in kind of a funny way. Like we're all kind of dunking on Katy Perry, yet people are quick to point out these venues are all pretty much sold out. People seem to be having a good time. What's your take on Katy Perry?
I was so excited for her to come back to music because I saw what she was doing in Vegas, and she was doing a campy residency, doing all of her hits, and she was teasing this new album, and she was referencing her Witness era and saying that it's not going to be a flop like that. And I really thought that when she
This
posted
is
the
the
first snippet of,
143 album, right?
yeah, I really thought when she posted the first snippet of Women's World that it was like a PR stunt, like an AI Katy Perry voice, and it was like a marketing ploy to get people to talk about it because it was so bad. And then she was going to come in and do something great. Like I genuinely thought that she was coming at it from a different angle, and I thought it was genius until it came out on Spotify and it was the exact same song.
It's like Michelle from the Valley. Like maybe your life is so good right now and you're living your life like the way you want to live it that maybe you might not be what a pop star is in this age, you know? Like can you grow out of being a pop star? I mean, she'll always be a pop star, but you know what I'm saying? Like in the white hot heat of what it has become, you know, can you compete? Can you be competitive, and what do you still have to say?
It's just so hard for me because I see it, you see it all the time with people. Like right now, Gaga's honestly at the top of her game. And she is someone who's been through so many different eras. She started at literally the same time as Katy Perry. And it seems like one thing that Gaga has never strayed from is being herself. And whatever felt right for her is what she was going to do in her music. So for Katy to come back with this, like, I don't even know what to describe 143 as because it seems like a Walmart attempt at doing a general pop version of Charlie XCX's Brat, if that makes any sense. Like,
But Charlie XCX's Brat, you know, comes from Charlie XCX.
yes,
Like that is
yes,
so like there is not a moment where you doubt this. Like
yes,
she lives and breathes that album. That's who I think
yes.
she is.
And it feels like Katy Perry took what was popular in music at the time and did something so inauthentic to herself. And in a year where music was really like pillared on authenticity, everyone was loving Sabrina, Chapel, Charlie, three people who have really stayed true to their roots and were making music that was so them, where they had a distinct identity. And then seeing Katy releasing 143, and it was missing for everyone because it doesn't feel like it's coming from her. It just feels like it's manufactured from like the music machine and her producers, which the Dr. Luke of it all, I don't
Dr.
even
Luke,
like
yeah.
want to get into, but it just feels like she hired him on because she thought he was going to help get her back to her teenage dream era, when in reality, like, he's just going to try and put out a song that they think is going to do well with the current climate of music.
I sometimes wonder really what it's like in the studio, how you actually work on an album. Like
Yeah.
Beyonce, like there's like 50 people that are credited on some songs, and like I'm not saying she's not, because I know she's like in it, she's working, but I just wonder how that process works. And are there some artists like Katy Perry where she's just like, yeah, it's good enough, we got it, we
Yeah.
got it, like
I
yeah,
think
we got
that
it.
really, it feels hard because it seems like is saying it. She's always saying one thing, and I feel like what's going on in her head is another. She's saying that this is the most she's ever felt an album and the most excited she's ever been to put music out, but it feels so hollow in the way that it's delivered, and the way that it is on the tour is mind-boggling to me, because she really just does not know how to do anything to make this better. For some reason, she just makes the wrong decision every time. Like, Thinking of You is having a huge moment on TikTok right now. So, of course, when she has an acoustic section during her concert, why would she not sing that song? But then she does sing it, and then she yells at the audience saying, I don't sing like that. Like, she does, though. She released the song, like, just sing it in its entirety and let it go viral.
Yeah, well, by the way, I think maybe she's back now, but she was just with Lauren Sanchez on her bachelorette party with Kim Kardashian and Kris Jenner. They're just getting back. Listen, I know we're at an hour, just a couple more things. I could talk to you for like 3 to 5 hours. Hopefully you'll come back. I hope you've had a good
But I
time
would love
thus
to.
far. But a couple more, well, by the way, the Lady Gaga thing, I had heard an interview. I think she was on Stern a couple months ago, and she was talking how this most recent album, she went in the studio wanting to make a grunge album, almost like a
Yeah.
whole Courtney Love album, and it turned into what it is now. But my God, I would have loved to have heard some of the demos of what a Lady Gaga grunge album would sound like.
Yeah.
Like, I would love that. Which, by the way, Killa is still on my playlist
I
every
love
day.
that
So
song.
good. So good. Gesaffelstein is, if you get a chance to see Gesaffelstein, great artist. You seem really excited about Hunger Games, dude.
I am.
You
I just
love
feel like
this recasting.
I know the world is really excited for Hunger Games, and the way that they're doing this is so dramatic. So that's why I also leaned
Explain to
into
the
it.
audience, they're doing a new iteration of the Hunger Games, right?
Yeah, so I did read the book. It came out in March, and it's pretty much a prequel to the normal like series that we know and love, the like Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay.
I read those, yes.
It's set years before for Haymitch's Hunger Games. So it's the second quarter quell, and it's his kind of coming of age of like how he won the Hunger Games. Because in Catching Fire, we understand a little bit more of what happened because of the way Suzanne kind of explained the quarter quell and what it was, and that's how Haymitch won the Hunger Games. And there's always a twist. So in that Catching Fire book, she writes vague details of what happened, and then this whole book is really how it came to be, his whole games experience, his interactions with President Snow. So it uses a lot of the characters specifically from that book and that movie that everyone's really familiar with. And I think that's why people have been so interested in the way that this casting has been going, because people were not as excited for the Songbirds and Snakes casting besides Rachel Zegler and Tom Blythe. Like, people didn't really care as much.
I didn't mind that movie, actually.
Oh, I
honest.
really liked
Yeah,
it.
I liked it. Yeah.
But the casting announcements were not like this.
Yeah, they're making this a big production.
Yeah.
Like, so it's Maya Hawke. Who else is in this? Who's Snow?
Who did they cast as? Oh, Ray Fiennes.
Oh, Ray Fiennes. That's
Yeah.
you. But it's like real. And by the way, you've made a lot of videos of it, so now it's on my radar because I wasn't paying attention to the Hunger Games, and I was like, wow, this is something I need. This is why your work is really important. You get people excited about things.
I try.
So that's one. Let's see here really quickly. Oh, the one I wanted to kind of jokingly bring up to you is explain to people the Trisha Paytas Pope lore. We just had a conclave. We had a new Pope chosen, Pope Leo. But a lot of people explain. I just went to see Trisha Paytas live a couple weeks ago, and she announced the gender of her baby. And explain the deep lore of Trisha Paytas and the Pope.
First of all, funny that you asked that. I literally posted a YouTube video about this last week because of the conclave. because all the coincidences were so crazy. And first, did you enjoy the live show? I saw it in April, and
I loved it.
I
I loved it. I was smiling from ear to ear. It's another one where it's like you try to explain to a bystander Trisha Paytas, and you're like, well,
can't.
she's a historical figure on the internet,
Yeah.
and she's somebody that I almost was weirdly inspired during that show because she's just like, listen, I can't sing, but like she's out there doing it with full
Yes.
force. She's put so much money into like these music videos over the years. We've watched her fall in love. We've watched her have breakups. We've watched her have babies. And now she's with like Creative Artists Agency, the biggest agency in
Yes.
the world. Like she's sold out the Greek theater, for the love of God. Like, I mean, this is something that I don't think anybody could have prepared her for. And she's on, I think, the next season of Euphoria, even though we're not really allowed to say that.
Yeah.
But like real things are happening. Like I think she'll be on The Traitors one day without a doubt.
I think so too. I mean, she's selling out the St. James Theater on Broadway. She's doing a musical with Sutton Foster, Rachel Zegler, and Ben Platt, like just because she wants to. She is everything to me. She invited me to come meet her at the show that I went to. And like I literally got like brought in by security, got to meet her. She is the sweetest person ever. The fact that she messaged me and said, "Hey, I saw you're coming to the April 5th show. Would you want to do you have meet and greet tickets?" I said, "No, I wasn't able to get them." She said, "Oh, no worries. I'll put you on the list. Like I would really love to meet you." And said she just was like, "Thank you for being so nice to me on the internet. I really appreciate it. In years where people have like hated me, you've always said nice things." And that to me, she is just a class act. She's someone I've watched for like the last 10
Did that
years.
blow you away to meet somebody you've talked about and watched over the years? Like, did you get nervous for that experience? Or
Oh my God, yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
always so weird to see someone in person that you know that you're both familiar with them online. And of course, I would recognize Trisha Paytas from 50 feet away, or probably even more. Like I could pick her out of a crowd of 1,000 people. But for me, like it's always weird when you kind of meet someone because you're not sure what they're going to say or if they're going to like recognize you at first. Literally, she turns to me, she's like, "Holden, thank you so much for coming. Like, come give me a hug." She's like, "You're so tall in person. I just wanted to thank you. I hope you enjoy the show." She was everything to me. And I was laughing and smiling from ear to ear that entire show. I think that she just has a way of commanding a crowd, and everyone that went to see her was so familiar with her lore that everything that she did was so entertaining to them.
The music video was like the gay military thing was like so, I mean, it just worked on so many different levels, but also like there's this feeling of ownership over sometimes influencers or YouTubers that there's like this specific pride. And I was there, but I watched this TikTok video of somebody outside of the Greek theater, like high up above in like it's surrounded by trees. And they had just the sound, the audio of when the baby was announced. And it like literally, it blew up the canyon with sound just from that announcement. But explain the Pope thing before we let you go.
Oh, yeah. So basically this all started when Queen Elizabeth passed away in 2022. Trisha Paytas she tweeted like the day before the Queen passed away, she said that she was like a centimeter dilated. The Queen passes away. We don't hear from Trisha. So everyone just immediately assumes that Trisha's in labor. So people think that it's like a crazy back and forth. Like they take the Queen and immediately put her spirit into Trisha Paytas's Malibu Barbie. And we spent honestly a whole day.
The internet is sick, man. We are a bunch of sick people. Like this was an act. This was a thing. It's still a
real
thing. Yeah.
And the fact that we spent an entire day assuming that within the same 24 hours, Queen Elizabeth passed away and was passed on to Malibu was crazy. And then the next day, Trisha Paytas had to make an apology video, basically addressing the fact that she was still pregnant and had not gone into labor yet. Then she does go into labor. Everyone's still saying that Malibu Barbie is like the reincarnation of the Queen, but it happened like 7 days after. Then she gets pregnant with baby number 2. On Twitter, people are saying, "King Charles, you'll begin to cough in 7 days. Like King Charles, your days are numbered." 2 months later, King Charles has prostate cancer and he's like on death's door. It's like, it really.
And by the way, Trisha isn't the one pushing this. Like other people are doing this. I want to make that clear. Yeah.
Trisha will address it sometimes. And then like Kate Middleton was diagnosed with cancer like right after that. So then people were saying, well, which one is it going to be? This feels so awful talking about.
And by the way, this is why this is like, by the way, all of my listeners, we're in a private group of people. Like this is between us right now, you guys. But if you're highly online, you know what we're talking about. And then it comes to the Pope, right?
Yes.
This is baby number 3.
So Trisha gets pregnant. People are really unsure of what's going to happen because people know the last 2 like pregnancies, someone of importance was sick or passed away. So then, of course, the Pope passes away, and immediately people are saying Trisha Paytas is due in July, like it has to be the Pope. So then the conclave happens, and it ends in one day. It ends on May 8th. Trisha Paytas' birthday is May 8th. So they pick the new Pope the same day as Trisha's birthday, and the new Pope has the same birthday as her first daughter, Malibu Barbie.
Oh my God. Make it stop. Make it stop.
It's like,
by the way, Trisha did bring this up at the live show. She did bring up the Pope thing, but she laughs it off. She's so funny. Like she just kind of laughs like, oh, everything's crazy. It's crazy, you know?
She is someone who really can lean into a joke very, very well. And you kind of have to if you're in her line of work, but there are people that would definitely go silent if that was their life.
Oh, I don't know how people like Trisha do it, but thank God they exist. And then, well, speaking of Trisha, is there any other celebrities or influencers? Your videos are very popular. So do you have a lot of interaction with people? Have you had any bad interactions, or have they all been fairly positive? Because I don't think anybody could ever, you're very positive. That's why I really like a lot of your stuff. You do have opinions. I don't want to say that, but like, has anybody ever come at you that was like well known? I wouldn't think so.
In terms of coming at me, I got into like a little internet scuffle with Gail, the ABCDEFU song girl.
Gail King?
Not Gail King.
Oh, it's like, was it the space thing? Was it Blue Origin?
Oh, yeah. No. She like opened for Taylor Swift, and like on the first leg of the Eras tour, I believe. She really only has one song. But I do red carpet reviews every single event that has a red carpet, honestly. So I just said it was her first Grammys and I didn't love her outfit. Then a day later, she goes on TikTok stories. She stitches my video and says, I don't know why this 30-year-old is talking about me like this. He should get a job. I'm about to go on tour with Taylor, so like clearly I'm fine. And I was like, listen, we're pretty much the same age, first of all.
Oh my God, to be called 30 again. I wish. That's a compliment if it was me. My God, but like
I was just like, that was ridiculous because it felt like kind of it really was insane. I don't know why she picked that one video. Everyone does red carpet reviews on TikTok. That was really the one time. And then Nikki Blonsky sent me a cease and desist, but
wait, you dropped and Nikki Blonsky. Nikki Blonsky really was after people for a while. Like, or maybe she still does, but she's an interesting internet figure as well.
Yes. So, of course, when all the stuff with CAMEO happened, people were going back and watching Hairspray and really curious as to what happened with her career. And as someone who has been a Hairspray fan for a very long time and was familiar with the reason why Nikki Blonsky is not very much employed these days, I was talking about on the internet, and I also posted like a long YouTube video about it. But one of the TikToks I posted was about the airport situation with Bianca Golden from America's Next Top Model, that whole like thing that happened.
Yeah.
And I did not say allegedly, and I also talked about it as if it was fact, which it is documented, but the charges were dropped. So I don't know if that changes the way that it can be spoken about. However, I did get a DM from Nikki Blonsky, and she threatened to sick her legal team on me if I didn't stop.
What a learning experience. Wow. That's true. Well, that's keeping up with Nikki Blonsky. She was nice
about it, though. Like, she said it as nice as she could. She said that
was she allegedly nice, or was she nice?
No, I mean, like, there was a way that she literally could have just like sent an email to me from her lawyers serving me papers to just like stop.
Yeah.
But she sent me a DM and said, I would really like to settle this privately. I don't want to get legal involved. This is really damaging to my career. I felt like that was kind of a weird choice of words because, to my knowledge, allegedly she is not employed at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to be nice, but yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Like that's, but if you guys follow him on TikTok, or if you're going to follow him on TikTok, I want to like, it's just ridiculous to ever come at this guy. Cause I loved your Met Gala stuff. Like even when you have something potentially negative to say, you say it in a decently positive way. So I think it's very interesting, but sorry you had that experience, but I'm glad you got out of it. So you guys, this is the call to action. As always, on TikTok, we can find him at Holden Smith. What is it? 262?
962.
962. That's the name of Katy Perry's new album. Holden Smith 962. We're also going to put the YouTube. Go subscribe to that for deeper dives, and also follow him on Instagram. But dude, you got to come back. Please come back. This was a blast.
Please have me. This is amazing. I could literally sit here and talk for like 4 hours.
I know. I'm like geeking out. I'm like, this isn't even a show. This is just like, I feel like thank you, dude. Huge fan of yours, and have a great day, man.
Thank you so much. You too.